All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Let's see if I can get this shared out real quick and find out where my chat is. There we go. There it is. All right. I pressed a whole bunch of buttons and I didn't know what I was doing. Like, hey, Juju. All right, y'all. It's Sunday and it's the Mousey-Files and hey Grace Case and we have a special guest tonight, y'all. Hi Sarah, welcome to the chat. We have our very own fish nerd here tonight with us, y'all. So I am gonna go ahead and bring him on in and we are gonna talk to the one, the only, the fish nerd. Here we go. Let's find him. Where is he at? There he is. Oh, I found him.
Oh, I'm hiding. I'm
So how are
hiding.
you doing?
I'm doing good. And I'm good to see my friend Sarah just joined in. One of my partners in crime.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, we got some new people. I figured we'd have some new people, show up tonight.
Oh, there should be, yeah.
All right. We got Juju, we got Grace Case. I know AC had some work she was doing tonight, so she may not be here. Hi, Mrs. C.
Uh, I gotta
So
learn to see the chat here.
yeah, you may have to. I know it's sometimes if you want to comment, you may have to pull up YouTube, but just make sure you mute it so it doesn't start an echo
Oh,
because sometimes it'll do that. Um, so, um,
okay.
so let me pull up on my little questions here because I have some burning questions that we're gonna talk to you about tonight. And I would like to say thank you because you do not know how much help you have been with my little sea monkey experiment.
Well,
Because
as I've said, I'm an enabler, and if you let me go, you're gonna have a room full of fish tanks, and yeah, I won't feel bad.
well, I already have three in the living room, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. Well, two are empty so far. So,
It's a good start.
oh, and Mrs. C wants to know where's Sean. Yeah, where is Sean? Where's she hanging out at?
She's running around.
Oh, okay. I'm sure she'll pop in when she gets
Oh,
in.
she will.
You know. So okay, yeah, I got some questions here to talk to you about. I came unprepared as always. Forgot a
That's
pen.
okay. From the hip is always the best.
New phone too, so I'm still not used to it after 2 weeks. It's like I've already had it that long. It's like, oh, I guess I have. All right. So, um, how long have you been in the fish hobby?
Well, always as a kid, parents always had a tank, so I grew up around tanks. Got out on my own from about I'd say mid '80s to mid '90s. I had tanks raising guppies, and then got into plants because I like to grow things, but I'd always forget to water them. And growing aquatic plants, yeah, it's kind of hard to forget to water them. But took a hiatus from it after I started apartment hopping, and then fell back into it once I got the house, and then fell back into it hard.
Yeah, and I can understand that kind of like with gardening because once it's your own place, you can kind of go crazy with it. No one can say, "Hey, you can't have that many of this."
Yeah,
It's like I can have as much as I want now.
yeah.
So yeah, and I was wondering because I know you said you have kind of gone crazy with it a little. About how many tanks do you actually have?
Well, did an inventory last night.
Oh
I
boy.
counted 135 tanks,
Oh my god.
but not all
130.
of them are active.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. I was like, wow, what have I stepped into here?
Yeah, it got to. I started this silly little habit. I'd see a tank for sale or on the side of the road, and I'd pick it up and bring it home and Yeah, they just multiplied. But out of that 135, I want to say there's about 10 of them that either need to be thrown away or repaired or something else. But currently, there's 60 of them that are set up and active. And,
Wow.
and total gallons, I did a full inventory. 1,800 gallons is what I'm running right now.
Oh wow, that's a lot of water.
And if everything that I use as a tank would hold water and was set up, I'd be around 3,500 gallons.
Oh wow, that's
But I don't ever see getting there.
yeah. That'd be a lot of running water. Seriously, that would be a lot.
Well,
Um,
and then also consider that almost 1,000 gallons of that is strictly for the summer in ponds and tubs and things I keep outside.
okay, well,
So,
yeah, and that's understandable because like where you're at, like I know like right
yep.
now, like having anything running outside is probably going to be a little harder with the cold
Yeah.
and the snow.
Talk about hard water. That's very hard water. Yeah.
um, now I do have a question too about your fish though.
Yes.
Like do you keep like a certain do you keep like a certain size fish, or like are you all like the smaller fish, the bigger fish? Do you have a mix of both?
I've got a little bit of everything. I tend to shy away from what's called the tank busters, the things that get, a foot or bigger. But there are still a couple of those around. But I keep mostly smaller fish. I kind of specialize in Cory catfish and working on getting into rainbow fish and some South American cichlids. But I've got a little bit of everything.
Oh wow, yeah, cichlids. I've always kind of like loved cichlids, like because you go to the pet store and you'll see them, and you can walk by them and they'll follow you, and
Oh
you
yeah,
put your finger up to the tank and they'll run up, they'll run down. Those are, and then like you trick someone, you're like, hey, put your finger in the tank, and they do it, they get bit, and it's like, what did you do?
yeah. Go pet the Oscar. Yeah.
Yeah, you that one. I was like, put your finger in the tank, see what happens. I got my husband with that like 3 times, and then he stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah,
kind of
they're cichlids are water puppies,
yeah.
and Sarah
Um,
would know. Sarah has a lot of them.
oh wow, yeah. Like that's always been kind of like something I've wanted to, but they are kind of expensive, and when you're sitting there and your kids are like, hey, we want to get fish, and you're like, okay, well let's go get fish, and they're like pointing at the most expensive ones. You're like, why don't we start with a couple of guppies, or
Yeah,
some little neon tetras over here,
yeah.
a
Gup,
beta.
guppies, platies, swordtails are a great starting place. Your zebra danios are another great starter. Neons are a little sensitive, but they are a good starter. And then yeah, you move out into your small cichlids and then Africans, and then yeah, eventually you end up with discus or tropheus, and you lose paychecks every time you go to a pet store.
Yeah, my daughter, bless her heart, she did that before. Like I said, she was keeping fish before she moved to Colorado, and they kind of like she given them a few of them away to her friends and stuff, and she had like a beta that she ended up leaving that one of my other daughter's friends took, but she left all of her tanks and stuff behind, and some of her aquariums like she was using for small animals too. So, we have like 20 longs in our shed and a couple, I think there's like a 20 long, a 20 high. I know there was a 10-gallon one. And then she had like some mice, and I forget what size tank those were in. But it's like I kind of want to use them, but I know I'm going to have to like take all that silicone out and like reseal all those tanks.
Yeah, I tend to shy away from anything that's held animals, and if it's ever held reptiles, when they get get a heat rock or a heat lamp, that totally ruins the silicone
Yeah.
and should never be trusted for water.
Yeah. We had turtles, and my one kiddo had two turtles, and found out the hard way not to put the heater in the one, because we had like the tank where we fed them, and
Yep.
then they had a tank where we had the heater and everything. And she was running late for school, so she just put the heat lamp over the aquarium, and yeah, it was leaking by the time she got home. I was like, oh man, this is so
Uh,
not good.
Not good.
Yeah, we ended up having to go get like another Rubbermaid tote for them. I was like, this is, ooh. We ended up, one of our friends who does rescue has a pond, and ended up taking the turtles, because we bit off way more than we could chew with those.
Yeah.
So no more, no more, no more turtles. So that was too much.
Yeah. Turtles are fun, but yeah, they're not fish.
Yeah, and then the kiddo found out that you kind of need to feed them some live food every now and then,
Yep.
and you know the we work with a lot of rescue groups. My sister-in-law does rescue, and so she had people she could talk to. So they were like, go get some minnows and feed it to them. And we did that. My daughter was like, oh no, we can't do this. She's like, I can't. No, it's like I can't do this to them. So yeah, we ended up rehoming the turtles. It was probably for the best, that
Yeah.
they did go. Got bit a couple of times too. That hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. And turtles can get big.
Oh yeah. Yeah, then that was another thing. We found out how big they could get, and I was like, oh, we really don't have room for that.
Nope.
So yeah. Um and I'm looking at all these questions that I wanted to ask for you. So out of all of your fish you have, right?
Yeah.
What is your favorite fish that you are keeping right now?
The next one coming in. No. God.
Like, do I have to
Just about
ask?
any of my cories. I love my cories. My little catfish. But it's kind of hard to pick a favorite, because
Yeah, well, I
each
mean,
one is different and unique in its own way, and yeah, this fish gives me lots of babies, which this is little revenue, and this one just looks cool, and this one acts neat, and but yeah, if I had to pick a favorite, it's going to be my cories.
okay. Yeah, I've been watching like a lot about the Corys too, and like people like them because they like school on the bottom of the tank, and I was like, that's got to be fun to watch. Them just going around and
Oh
doing
yeah,
their thing. And then I was messaging you the other night about the Shelleys. I saw a video on those, and I was like, oh man, that's so
oh yeah.
cool. And then I messaged
Shelly's really are nice.
yeah, I messaged
Although
Jujuy
I've never
about.
kept them.
And I was like, we need to get you that one because they like interior design their tank.
Yep.
It's like that's all you. That's totally what you need there.
We'll get you a Cory. We'll get you Shelly's.
Before I know it, I'm gonna have like, and that's another thing. Like I have always really wanted to get like a big 55-gallon, one of the big tanks. But with little kids running around, it's like that could be dangerous. So I never really did it. And for the longest time, I had like kids all the time in the house.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the point where I don't have little kids in the house. So I'm like, we have a whole den that we're not doing anything with.
Hey,
So,
there you go. There you go. Get a couple 125s and
yeah, it'd be like the whole room just full of aquariums.
yep, that's my basement. That's my basement. Floor to ceiling.
And yeah, I mean, like I can only imagine, because it sounds like you're like, one of the people that are really into the hobby, and then you see the YouTubers that are also really into the hobby, and it's like that's a lot of fish.
It is. It's a second part-time job.
it seems like it would be, especially having to make sure water is good and
Water's
plants.
changed. They're all fed. They're all clean. Yeah, yeah. That's what weekends are for. Cleaning tanks, checking up on things.
So uh so do you have anything else interesting going on with your fishies, with the whole fish hobby? Anything you're working on or getting into?
Well, as part of the club, we're all gearing up. Every other year, the club puts on a catfish convention. Yeah, we get people coming from all over the U.S. and as well as some from around the world, called Catfish Cataclysm. And this year we are teaming up with the ACA, which is American Cichlid Association, and it's a kind of a dual bill that we're having here, and can be found at the Catfish Cataclysm website. But yeah, that's in July for runs 4 days and all kinds of things with fish shows and vendors and people coming in talking about fish and auctions and lots of good times.
Okay.
So,
Now, like, is that like just like small fish, or is that like even the bigger
oh,
ones?
there will be big ones. There will be small ones. There will be ones that are teeny tiny, and others that, yeah, I
Okay,
would
so it's
imagine
like,
that we'll see a couple tank busters there.
oh wow,
Whether or
yeah,
not they're tank busters at the time is another story.
yeah, probably babies and stuff. I'm
Right.
sure. Yeah, like okay, so there's a question that you might know the answer to that wasn't in part of the stuff I sent you, but so like I said, I've been getting a lot of my information between you and YouTube anyway.
Yeah.
So, um, uh, when you're watching the YouTube videos, right,
Yep.
and you'll see them with these like fish that look like they need to be in a river or a lake, and they're like giant fish, and it looks like they've got them in above ground swimming pools.
Yeah.
Is that really what they have them in? Is
Uh,
that really what that is?
some people
Or
actually use above ground pools. There are also things that kind of look like above ground pools that are made for fish, but yeah, in a sense, they're above ground pools.
wow. I was like, surely that's not what that is. And I was like, but that's what it
Yes, it
looks
is.
like. And I was like, oh wow.
It,
And I mean, it kind of
in the
made
fish
sense.
hobby, if it can hold water, somebody has used it to raise fish. Yeah, the in-ground concrete swimming pools. I've heard of people raising thousands and thousands of guppies in them,
Oh my goodness.
and koi, and
Okay, like I could see koi in there in
yeah,
like a pool. That makes yeah. And
but yeah. If it holds water, someone's used it to raise fish.
I think the weirdest thing I've seen so far on YouTube for someone to breed fish in though was okay, like in Louisiana where they have the crypts for
Yep,
the cemeteries, uh they're I guess cement or concrete,
yep,
but I've seen them raising fish in those.
yes. The fish farms down actually Louisiana, Florida. I do believe there's some in Georgia, but yeah, in the southern states, yeah, they're watertight and they work great.
Oh wow. Yeah, cuz like they said they had like they would eat like the plants that would grow off the side of them, like I guess
Yep.
it was algae and stuff, that was growing in there. I was like, "Wow, that is really interesting that, they would think to use those." Like I guess you could like you said if it's watertight, you could use it. So I'm like, "Wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting."
I've seen. I have a friend that had a fish room in his closet, and all he used was the Rubbermaid shoebox totes.
Yeah, and my when my daughter's when she got had her betas, she would use those. when she was breeding them to, you know, obviously put them together to where they could breed and then separate them out and
Yep.
so like I thought that was weird, but obviously she got the idea somewhere, and it was probably YouTube.
Probably.
Oh my goodness, I just caught that in the chat. Um, Mrs. C was like catfish fake identities. Um, yeah, Grace Case. It's like when you go to the catfish conventions, do you guys use fake identities? I was like, oh no, you didn't.
Not really.
I was
Not
like,
really.
man, why didn't I think of that?
But I'm sure some of that does go on. I haven't seen it. I haven't been part of it.
Yeah. um, oh, um, so I'm trying to think if there's any more questions that I had off the top of my head that I wanted to ask too. Um,
Well, I know one of the questions that she asked me was, yeah, what's my biggest fish? What's my smallest fish?
yeah.
Okay, when you talk about biggest, they're seeing as they're all different shapes. I've got a couple of big ones, and then I have some that have the potential to be big. Of the big ones, I have a big common pleco that was, given to me because it got too big for their tank, and he's about 13 inches now.
Oh wow.
And then I've got a rare African cichlid. It's a Coptodon nigrin, given to me by a good friend because, well, he got tired of raising them, and he's a good 10 inches.
Oh wow.
And then I have a group of that I picked up about a year ago that each one's about 2 inches right now, but have the potential of getting up close to 24 inches. The South American wolf cichlid, commonly known as a doveye. If you ever look up a doveye, they have attitude.
Oh, you did get that.
Let me pull one of those up real quick. We can share a picture on those real quick.
It was Sarah that asked the question. Right there. So you still have doveye. So you kind of answered.
Oh yeah.
It. Sorry.
Yes, Sarah. The doveye are still alive.
Oh wow. I just saw a picture of them. I'm like, those look like they have some interesting attitude right there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put those up on the screen real quick. That's kind of.
Yeah, I started off with a group of 9. I think I'm at 5 right now.
I always forget how to share the screen, even though I've been doing this for like so long. It's like, what are you doing? Okay. Let's pop this bad boy up here.
Yep, that would be him. That's a nice big
Joking.
male.
That's a yeah. He looks like it's not a fish you would want to mess with.
Oh, he's a water puppy. Granted, a rabid Rottweiler, but he's a water puppy.
It's like, yeah, I'll give you a big old nibble.
Yeah. There's videos. I know there's videos on YouTube's of doveye keepers feeding their tanks, and by the time they're done feeding, the keeper outside of the tank is just as wet as the fish is inside the tank.
It's like a good kisser.
Oh, so, you said you have 5 of the doveye, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're still little babies yet, but.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, like, how big are those, and like, what kind of tank would you need to keep those in?
Right now, they're in a 40-gallon tank, and yeah, there's 5 of them, and they're only about 2 inches right now.
Okay. It's just, obviously the picture makes him look way bigger than he is. So.
Well, the one in the picture, I'm guessing, is right around 2 foot.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's crazy how big some of these fish can get.
Oh yeah.
and it's like people don't even think, they see the little goldfish, carnivals will give you those little feeder goldfish. They don't realize those fish can get giant if
Yes.
you keep them. I
Yeah.
mean, they get, at least a foot long,
Or better.
or yeah, depending on how big of a tank you put them in. Because my kids got one, that thing lived for 5 years, and it got ginormous.
Oh yeah. And they will outgrow their tanks to the point where you have to get a bigger tank and have to get a bigger tank. And
Yeah, it's like it's bigger and bigger and bigger. So,
yep, I heard of a guy that picked up one of those carnival goldfish, and every couple of years you go back down and buy a bigger tank for it, and 10 years later he was had one of those 6 foot long 125-gallon tanks just for this one little goldfish that he won at a fair.
oh wow, yeah. And then, so like I know it's been a big problem. Um, it hasn't really been that big a problem around here so much, but I know some areas are dealing with it, with people putting their pet fish back into the
Oh yeah.
waterways.
Oh yeah, there's a big problem down in Florida, um, with the common plecos, various African cichlids. Of course, some of that happened with the hurricanes and the fish farms. Their breeding ponds overflowed and got into the local waterways. And yeah, you can go down and catch Oscars and Mayan cichlids and
Oh
all
wow.
kinds of cichlids that don't belong in the Florida Everglades.
Yeah, and like I know I've seen some of the videos about the plecos.
Oh yeah.
And um no, and I'm, again, just because you know how YouTube can be like really clickbaity. So you'll see these videos with the common plecos, right? Or the plecos in general.
Yeah.
And they'll be dried out, and then they pour water on them.
Yep.
Can they actually do that?
Yes, they can. They are plecos are an armored catfish, and yeah, I've seen a couple that look all dried off. You get them wet, and all of a sudden, yeah, they seem to come back to life.
Oh
As
wow.
long as their gills maintain moisture, they'll still be kicking.
Oh man. That's a fish that can, take a beating.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I honestly don't believe that the common pleco should be in the hobby, but I understand why it is,
Yeah.
because the collectors go to the rivers that they come from, and in the spring, and feel along the banks where they dig their caves and lay their eggs, reach their hand in, pull out about 10,000 eggs. Well, do that, 5, 6, 7 times. You got a whole bunch of baby plecos that you can sell for, you know,
Yeah.
sell for $1 a piece. And yeah, you end up with near 1 million of them.
Yeah. And I mean, in some tanks I could see, they'd be beneficial, if you have a lot of algae. I know like some people have said that they mess up the whole bio load of the tank.
And they are little
So
poop machines.
yeah, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. They'll keep your algae at bay, but they kind of muck up the tank too. It's
Well,
like,
and the common pleco will eat algae when it's young, but as it gets older, it likes other things as well, and would actually start attacking the fish at night when they sleep.
yeah.
That's why I
Um,
like the cute little bristlenose. They only get about 6 inches, and they just like they're strictly algae eaters.
okay. Yeah, because like I know like there's like a whole bunch of like different species of pleco. Like I didn't find that out until like way when I was
Oh
like way
gosh,
older. Um,
I want to say there's 500-600 different species of plecos,
oh wow, that's a lot.
and probably another 200 that have yet to be discovered and described.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure the ocean, our lakes and rivers. We don't know what's all going on in there, but oh yeah, that was I meant to I was gonna share this video with you the other day before the stream, and I totally forgot to do it. Um, but there's a I need to see if I can find out what fish it was. Um, in oh man, it's somewhere out west in the U.S. There's a fish that's it's endangered, right? And
Yep.
apparently, it's only found in this one cave. Like you can only find it in one cave. And they haven't been able to breed it anywhere else unless they mimic the cave.
Yes.
So, like, is that like becoming more common with fish?
Well, there
With
there
them
is
so
the
extinct?
CARES program that deals with endangered and extinct fish. Yeah, it's actually quite common. Uh, and the CARES program, they want to get these endangered and near extinct and sometimes extinct fish in the hands of hobbyists, and get some of these people that are big in the hobby that can keep them and mimic these qualities and get them breeding and make make sustainable populations again. In fact, CARES program is responsible for reintroducing the zoogenetics tequila, little fish, little live bearer from Mexico. Not much of a fish to look at, mostly silver with a bright yellow tail, but became extinct in the wild. And they went to the waters where they came from, cleaned it up, and then reached out to hobbyists. Hey, who keeps these fish? We'd like to try to reintroduce them to the wild, which they did, and now there is a thriving wild population when it was once extinct.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So yeah,
And it's, that's cool. That because people were keeping them, it got to they got to come back because
right,
how often does anything like that ever really happen? Something gets extinct and usually it's gone. So that
right.
that is really cool that they're
Yeah, the
that there's a
success stories
program
like
for
that they're not too many of them, but it can happen. It can happen. But yeah, I think I've heard about that. I want to say it's a blind cave tetra.
yeah, and like I know like the government has like the one cave that they're in, like you can't even get into it,
Right.
and they set up like a whole little breeding area for them, but they tried to like because sometimes I know you can like mix fish with the other with like other species in its whole little category of fish,
Yep.
and get something that's similar to it, but it's like more um like it
Yeah.
doesn't yeah, but
Get the
they can't
hybrids and yeah,
yeah, it's like it, but
it's
it was just
close, but not quite the same thing.
yeah, and all it would do is like breed its genes out because it's like I don't know. It was like the weirdest thing I'd ever heard. And of course, of all the channels to hear something about that on, it was on the channel Ask a Mortician,
Yep.
And I'm like, that's interesting. So yeah, I was like, that's cool, that even she was talking about, fish that were you know, rare and endangered and apparently like people didn't want them there and wanted to like open the cave up so people could go in it, and then the government was like no. Yeah, it was an interesting video. I need to like find the link for it and share that bad boy in a second. But yeah, let me share that to Juju real quick and get her to drop that in the chat, and then I'll put it in the thing, the description box below.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. I remember what all this stuff is, occasionally, sometimes when I'm thinking about it.
And there's other fish in the hobby. I can think of one little pleco that's kind of a holy grail fish called the zebra pleco that comes out of Brazil. Very popular and yeah, very flashy little thing. And the countries that it comes from have you know, stop letting that fish be caught and exported.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I was looking at the plecos the other night and I saw the zebra pleco, and I was like,
Yeah,
now that's a
I think
cute
I
little
sent you
fish
that one.
right there.
The L46. Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful little thing.
yeah. I was like, that is so cool that I was like, it's in the water and it looks exactly like a zebra. Like,
Yep,
how does that happen?
all
Uh,
kinds of them.
so, do you have like a holy grail fish, like one fish that you want that you don't have?
I actually have a list.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and that mentioned that L46 pleco is one of them. Um, another fish that I've seen and heard rumors of and seen pictures of, but talking with the people that know, it's not even collected anymore. It's called a Brocus britsky, little Cory cat that only gets up about 6 inches. And of course, discus. What fish keeper hasn't wanted to keep discus? But the thought of spending $50 to $120 for a fish that might die on you tomorrow has kept me from keeping that one.
Mm.
But
Uh,
yeah, there's a list, and most of them are not known by a lot of people.
yeah, like I've been watching like again a lot of YouTube on the fish whole thing. But yeah, some of these fish, I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like the brams.
Yep.
I was watching about how those are bred and how finicky they are, and
Yeah.
it was like they're very pretty.
Very
And
pretty.
then those Shelleys, I saw that, and then that was just funny because yeah, that whole tank got uprooted. The lady was like, "What did it do?" It's like all her plants were strewn around.
Oh yeah, Shelley's love plants. That's natural salad. Yeah, a
Oh, this
lot of
is
your
great.
African cichlids love plants. Yum yum, love plants.
Yeah, yeah, cichlid. Man, I tell you, I've always had a like. I go to a store that sells fish. They have cichlids. I'm like right there. I'm like, ooh, I'm just gonna watch you for a while. My husband will have to like come and pull me out of the store. So, you know, get
Yeah, I know that feeling.
yeah. It's like
Yeah, I'm just gonna go down to the fish store. I need a little fish food. Come back, after spending half a paycheck, and oh yeah, uh, it was cute. Had to come home with me.
oh man, yeah. I can totally imagine doing that. And like our Petco has a whole an adoption tank right now, and I'm trying real hard not to just go in there and be like, I'll just take some of all this stuff in this tank because I know I don't have like the capability of actually taking care of it right now. So I'm
Right.
stopping myself because I'm like, that's not the way to do this. It's like slow
I,
down.
I recommend against that.
Yeah, I really stopped myself, and
I've,
my
I've, I've
husband
I've
was
done it a number of times. At our club meetings, we have auction of everybody's extra fish and baby fish and whatnot, and I'll see something and ooh, that's kind of neat, and buy it off of auction, get it home, and go. I don't know what to do with this. What can I put it with?
yeah, I can imagine I would kind of be the same way because like I'll go overboard sometimes, and then I am learning to be a little have a little bit more self control lately because with the sea monkeys, like I almost started having like 6 tanks going trying to breed them, and I was like, that's not gonna work. Just stop. You're gonna end up just killing all of them. So I ended up setting up 2 cups of like the babies at one time, and then I had the big tank going and the little tank, and I finally got like I said, I finally got them to go to adult.
Yeah.
So 3 of them have finally turned to an adult. So I'm very happy about that. I have learned anything in brackish water that can't have a filter. is really hard to keep alive.
Yes, it is.
Very hard to
Yes,
keep
it
alive.
is. And congratulations. I have never been able to raise brine shrimp to adults.
Thank you. I mean, I figured, I was like, there has to be a way. There's people doing it online. There has to be a way to do it. It's just not the way they're saying they did it. So,
There's got to be a trick.
yeah.
And,
And
it,
I don't
and
know
it,
what the trick is.
I look at it the same way with me with angelfish. I love angelfish. And I have friends, Sarah, that can raise angelfish like nobody's business. I have, gone through 65 spawns, and I think I've had a total of 18 fish survive out of 65 spawns that should have been close to 650 fish. But yeah, I've had 18 survive.
Oh, wow.
I gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and laugh, Sarah.
And, and there were times where I can kind of understand that, like, I was ready to just walk away from the whole sea monkey thing. I was like very defeated,
Yeah,
but and I kept thinking about it, and then I kept like going back and rewatching certain channels, and I noticed something that I hadn't noticed, that I didn't pay attention to before. All I was thinking about was the size of the sea monkeys, how old they were. I didn't actually look at the water they were in.
yeah,
And the one thing I noticed was all that water was really clean. And I'm like, you have to be moving them.
yep.
There's no way. There is no way you're not moving them, because if you're hatching the brine shrimp in that tank and you're not getting those eggs out of there, it's gonna turn the water brown really quick.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
yeah,
the uneaten food and the biological waste from them. Yeah, that all has to be cleaned out.
yep. You have to like go in the bottom of the tank and get like any of the leftover algae powder out
Yep.
and any of the detritus. And if you're not doing that, they're not going to live. I
Nope.
mean, it was hard with the big tank, and especially like and I couldn't understand that either, because it was like, if mine are getting stuck in the gravel, why are yours not? It's like something's not right there.
They were cheating. I still believe that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I that's
they were like me and buying the brine shrimp eggs by the pound and yeah,
constantly having them going, and
exactly.
I mean that's, and I really hate to say that, but um about some of them I really hope, because the one guy that I watch and I really enjoy his channel, it's that sea monkey dude John, and he has a great channel,
Yeah,
and he's all about not only just, he's mostly about at the actual sea monkey brand, their eggs, their enclosures and everything, but he was trying to break the world's record of actual sea monkey brand eggs, but he got disqualified for some reason. And I don't, the only reason I could think of was the first time he started the tank that he has running now, and he transferred something that had algae from one tank to another, and there was a female sea monkey that transferred into the tank.
hmm,
Well, that would be a disqualifier right there,
yeah,
because
it would be.
it was an outside, and she could have been pregnant and she could have laid eggs and yada yada yada. Like, I get that. I get why they would disqualify for that.
Oh
But
yeah,
still, with the water being that clean and you can't filter it, I mean, he was doing like a lot of water changes, and he had like the little sieves to like filter out the brine shrimp, and he may have been doing that, but he had to be doing something that he wasn't telling people he was doing. So that's the only thing I can think of.
oh yeah. There's got to be secrets.
Yeah.
I haven't figured them out, but
Because the how I've been able to do it with I've got the half-gallon tank that I originally started the whole project with, and I got this it's a little 10-watt turtle heater. It's made to where it can go half in, half out of the water. So if the water level lowers or
yep,
raises, it's not gonna burn up the heater. Some sand, and it was actually the hermit crab sand I used. and an air stone. So it's constantly moving the water around. So all of that with a lid on it is causing the water to evaporate. So every 3 days, I have to add 8 ounces of water to that tank.
Yeah, that's about normal.
And, so if you let it go 6 days, you're getting almost, a quarter of your tank is fresh water now. And it's constantly clear.
Actually, all that evaporates is the water.
Yeah.
The actual salinity, I think, as the water evaporates, the salinity actually gets higher.
Yeah. So all you really have to do is just add fresh water. No more salt water. Because that's all I'm doing is I grab a bottle of water and I just pour it in there, like, bottle of like drinking water from the store, and just pour it in there. And they are fine. And I was like, that's crazy. So I can see why the bigger tank would have a problem, because the water just wasn't evaporating off. It just, I mean, I guess because the tank couldn't get hot enough to, I don't know. I don't know why it wasn't doing it the way the small tank is. I'm still trying to figure that out. But it is not as easy as they tell you on the YouTube channels.
No, never is.
So now that I've done that and got the little guys to grow to adult, now it's time to move on to a new project.
And we'll work on that together.
Yep. Phase 2, getting the plants to actually stay in the substrate. So,
did you get the plants planted?
The plants you sent me are still alive. I moved them out of the bucket. I've got to break down the tank tomorrow and redo the whole substrate again. And it is the filter that keeps digging everything up.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, I'm gonna pop the little sponge filters in for now that I got.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna leave those until I can get a hang-on back filter that's not as powerful as the one that I've got right now, because I think it's actually supposed to be for a 20-gallon tank, and this is a 10-gallon tank, so it's just it's kind of just tearing everything up.
It makes a river tank. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, and if I had fish in there, they'd be just thrown around.
Depends on the fish.
Yeah, I mean, because some fish like that, and a little beta would be like, oh my gosh, I can't swim in this.
No, beta would be bad.
Yeah.
But the plecos, the cories would love it.
Okay.
Let's see here if I can.
Nope. All right. Are you still with me? Sorry about that.
Let's see if that works. I just see if I can share a link on there.
Where's that?
I was seeing if my link came through.
Okay. Only if she can pull stuff you can.
Okay.
I think. I'm not sure.
Worst accident?
I don't know, like a hose breaking in the
Oh yeah. Yeah. Sean was saying I should tell you my worst accident.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering if you've had any issues, like any breakage or anything.
Well, yeah, it is common in the hobby that glass breaks and fish die.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I've set up a filter system on the house water water system with a filter, so I can just walk over to a tank to fill with a hose and not have to dechlorinate and treat and set out and walk over, turn on a hose and go fill the tank. Well, one night after filling tanks, I guess I forgot to turn the system off.
Oh
And
no.
well, there is a turn off right at the hose end, which was off, but then the hose burst.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh man. I
So
bet that
for
was
about 6 hours, the water system is draining all over the floor and making everything wet, and it filled a couple of tanks all the way and then some.
I bet it did. Oh no, you didn't have fishies swimming around in the floor, did you?
Nothing came out of a tank,
Oh,
but two tanks in particular had probably 100% water change over that 6 hours.
I bet. Oh man, yeah, like because the only thing I can relate to that is I had a pipe burst under my sink once.
Yep.
And our whole kitchen and living room and dining room had like 2 inches of water.
Yep.
Like, oh man, we had to pull out all the flooring. That'd be a nightmare. Oh my goodness,
Good
that's
thing
so
that
much
all the
more
flooring
water.
down there is all cement. So just
Oh man.
it took about a month for some things to dry out.
Oh, I bet. Oh man. Have you ever had like a tank shatter on you?
Oh, I've had a number of tanks shatter on me.
Oh no.
Never a filled tank.
Oh, okay. That's what I guess I
Yeah.
should have worded that better. If you ever had a filled tank shatter on you, that'd be so sad.
I've had I've had a filled tank crack on me. That's happened a couple of times, but an actual shattering.
Nelson's shattered. Nelson's tank, when it went, it shattered. Remember?
Oh yeah.
On the rack.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess I did have one filled one shatter.
Oh man.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
It's part of the hobby. It's one of the hazards.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you kind of have to expect it. You're dealing with a lot of water,
Yep.
glass, acrylic
Yep.
or glass, and
Yeah. Well, glass is not bulletproof.
Wood is what caused that.
Oh yeah.
well, so there is some bulletproof glass, but
Right, but they generally don't use that for aquariums.
no, I don't think that would be very practical either. Oh, well, I am pushing my hour mark here, and I was going to try to go a little longer tonight, but we have a big storm rolling through, and the lightning is hitting my yard again.
Oh, lovely.
Kind of want to get away from the windows. So, but thank you, Fish Nerd, for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of your help.
Oh, not a problem. I enjoy it.
You
I
and
enjoy it.
Sean.
Reach out with any and all questions. I will always say the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask.
Yeah, I'd rather ask a stupid question than end up with big problems down the road.
No stupid questions, only stupid answers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and I am gonna wrap this up, guys. Everyone have a good night and stay safe out there. If it's storming where you guys are at, take shelter. But again, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Good night, everyone. Bye.
We will do this again.
Yes, we will do this again. Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Bye bye. Sleep well.